It was a rock show at the Oval Office designed to seduce Donald Trump. To regain favor in Washington, Prime Minister of Pakistan Shehbaz Sharif and Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir presented a collection of rare earth minerals to United States President Donald Trump. They showed those pieces of rocks. They showed those pieces of rocks to the President Trump. A photograph released by White House shows Munir at the Oval Office at a time when Trump is seeking to curb China's dominance in the critical mineral supply chain. This is Pakistan's third desperate outreach to the United States in recent weeks. The visit comes as relations between Washington and Islamabad have improved after years of strain during the Biden era. Pakistan has been seeking American investments in its mineral sector. Pakistan Frontier Works Organization signed an MOU with US Strategic Metals to set up a polymetallic refinery in Pakistan. Pakistan's diplomatic outreach appears to be following a plan, acting as an intermediary among the various regional factions. Despite being a close Chinese ally in the region, Pakistan shows little hesitation in engaging with its arch rival, United States of America. Islamabad is strengthening the relationship with China, re-engaging the US, cultivating Saudi Arabia, warming up to Russia, bringing Turkiye into play and managing Afghanistan and Iran. Pakistan may currently be in a geopolitical sweet spot, but this might not last for too long. How long Beijing will tolerate Islamabad's flirtation with Washington remains uncertain. When the US feels the pressure of China's global rise, Pakistan's ability to play both sides will decline. If the US reverts to its rivalry with China, Pakistan could be forced to choose sides. Given Trump's with me or against me posture, the bonhomie may not last long. Sharif has previously claimed that the Pakistan's mineral reserves are worth trillions of dollars. He says foreign investments could help end its prolonged financial crisis. Most of these reserves, however, lie in Balochistan, where separatist groups oppose resource extraction by Pakistani and foreign companies. Also, China has made investments worth $70 billion in Pakistan, most of whom are in the restive Balochistan. Last time Pakistan claimed to have discovered a massive oil reserve, it turned out to be a hoax. In 2019, Imran Khan announced a possible massive find offshore. However, the claimed find of Asia's largest oil and gas reserve was short-lived, as the Petroleum Division later dismissed the claim. Fact of the matter is, Pakistan is engaging in a way too many tactical and strategic games. At the same time, this could become difficult to sustain. And the question is, will Pakistan's outreach has a limit? On this, I am joined by Ambassador Veena Sikri and Professor Swaran Singh from Center for International Studies. And my question is straight and simple. Let me straight away go to Professor Swaran Singh first. Is there a limit to Pakistan's outreach? Because Field Marshal Asim Munir seems to be dialing a lot of numbers simultaneously. If they may not work in terms of real deal, but in terms of optics, it does have an effect, sir.
There is no doubt this sudden change of Pakistan being able to seduce, I'm intentionally using that word, United States into finding rare earth elements in Pakistan does rattle to some extent how India views that growing proximity. But I tried seriously to think about it after I saw that 8th of September, one private company and one company related to Pakistan military have signed an MOU talking about $500 million of investments over 3 phases. And I thought, what could make them do it? The only answer I could think of was that just like at some stage when the oil prices at international market went enough high, and the water fracking technology became possible to use shale oil, and America became an oil exporter. Similarly, the desperation of United States to deal with the Chinese absolute monopoly on rare earth minerals, both in terms of reserves and also in terms of refining, smelting, and separating, they are willing to go to any extent, and that goes back to pandemic period. The Western countries realizing their excessive dependence on China. 30% plus manufacturing of the world happens in China. And since then, they've been talking about friendshoring, onshoring, and so on. So those concerns may make them desperate enough to start exploring rare earth elements, which have not been found by any serious international geological surveys so far. Though Pakistan has often flaunted the reserves between anywhere 8 to 50
Okay.
trillion dollars, which is a joke. So that could perhaps be one way, but I assume even then two problems will arise. One, for any extensive three-phase based exploitation of so-called rarely available rare earth materials in Pakistan, US will have to depend on enormous infrastructure built by the Chinese, and of course deal with this insecurity issues in Pakistan. So I think much easier and commercially viable strategy for them will be start looking at recycling first at home, using all kinds of e-waste and
Okay.
extracting rare earth materials from there. And this is, to me, may not be impossible given the desperation of
Okay.
United States, but it's very improbable for me to become a possibility, or a commercially viable reality.
Okay. Ambassador Sikri, is there a limit to the Pakistan's diplomatic outreach? That's question number one. And the second thing is, China is so deeply invested in Balochistan. Is it really possible for Pakistan to make United States of America a stakeholder in a state where there is an independence movement raging, madam?
Well, I think we should understand why all this is happening. And I think there are two factors that we have to look at very carefully to see why suddenly, Pakistan has onboarded itself to a whole lot of regional cooperation programs. I think the first is that President Trump has taken a totally different view on China than his predecessors. Previously, and even in President Trump's own first term, the key issue was of America's rivalry with China and of the importance of India's partnership in containing China and in making sure that America with India and other people has the upper hand. But President Trump in his second term has totally gone absolutely 180 degrees the other way. And he's now talking of accommodating China. He's talking of a big, beautiful deal with China. He's talking of G2, where America and China accommodate each other and the rest of the world falls in place. Now, if you take this theory on board, then I think that China is in the know of what US is doing with Pakistan, because that brings me to the second point, which is that I think that a lot of this change that was driven in America's approach towards Pakistan happened after May the 10th. On May the 10th, when India, as part of Operation Sindoor, launched its absolutely devastating missiles on the air bases and on the command and control center at Noor Khan, destroying a lot of these command and control centers and destroying aircraft, two or three things happened. First of all, there were American assets which were destroyed. These F-16 of the Americans, which was there, they were not supposed to be there. The F-16s are not supposed to be used against India, but they were being deployed. So this is a great problem that these American assets were destroyed. Secondly, the presence of Turkey. It is known that possibly in that command and control center, which was destroyed at Noor Khan base, there would have been Turkish personnel there.